22 missed calls. That's what filled my phone the morning my parents were set to leave for their anniversary cruise, the one I paid $12,000 for. The night before, my dad had texted, "We just thought it might be better without you." I didn't argue or plead. I just replied, "Sure thing." They took that as acceptance. But when the cruise staff refused to let them board, they finally understood what silence can cost. This wasn't about money. It was about what happens when the one who keeps the peace stops paying to belong. My name is Rebecca Hale. For most of my life, family harmony was something I had to fund. Flights, hotels, birthday dinners. If I paid, we could pretend everything was fine. So when my parents' 40th anniversary arrived, I did what I always did. Handled it all. 2 upgraded cabins, excursions, spa packages, even a seaside hotel night so Mom wouldn't complain about early flights. $12,000 gone in a click. I told myself it was a gift, a way to make us feel like a family again. Mom, Evelyn, loved perfection. Photos, captions about gratitude and grace. Dad, Richard, preferred silence, calling it peace as long as no one challenged her. My older sister, Ava, was the fragile favorite we all tiptoed around. And then there was Mia, the youngest at 16. Sweet, still believing family meant safety. I used to believe that too. A week before the cruise, our group chat went quiet. No updates, no questions about plans. When I texted Mom, she just sent a vague "can't wait" with a heart emoji. Ava didn't respond. Even Mia stopped texting, though she usually sent endless memes and outfit photos. That silence felt heavy, like the air before a blackout. I told myself they were just busy, but deep down I knew better. 2 nights before departure, I called Dad to confirm flight times. He sounded cheerful, almost rehearsed. "Oh, we've arranged our own shuttle," he said. My stomach tightened. "What shuttle?" After a pause, he said it. "We just thought it might be better without you." I stared at the wall as the words settled. After everything, they thought life was better without me. The phone slipped from my hand. Miles, my boyfriend, looked up from the couch, reading my expression before I spoke. I didn't cry or yell. I just picked up my phone and typed 2 words. "Sure thing." I couldn't sleep that night. The message glowed on my screen like a wound. I had paid for the trip, yet somehow I was still the outsider, the extra piece in their perfect picture. Every few minutes, my screen lit with old texts from Mom. "Remember sunscreen." "You're the best, honey." Each one now felt rehearsed, meant to cover up what was coming. At 6:13 a.m., I made coffee. The house was quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the ticking clock. Miles leaned against the counter. "Did they say why?" I shook my head. "Just that it would be better without me." He exhaled. "That's not better. That's cowardice." I didn't reply. I just watched the sunlight crawl across the street. I'd spent my life fixing their problems. Maybe it was time they fixed their own. By 7 a.m., my phone started buzzing. Not with apologies, but anger. Mom's voicemail was clipped and furious. "Rebecca, this is ridiculous. They won't let us board without the cardholder present. You have to call them now." I took a sip of coffee. "No, I don't," I whispered. 22 missed calls later, I finally answered. "Rebecca," she snapped, "we're standing here with our bags like criminals." I put her on speaker. Miles stood in the doorway, arms folded. "You should have thought about that before deciding I wasn't worth having around," I said calmly. "You're humiliating us," she shouted. "No," I replied. "You did that yourselves." Then I hung up. 3 hours later came the knocking, sharp, impatient. I stood at the top of the stairs, watching their shadows blur behind the frosted glass. Miles came up beside me. "Want me to handle it?" I shook my head. "No. I want to see their faces." Mom barged in first, angry and perfumed. Dad followed quietly, playing mediator. "This is beyond childish, Rebecca," Mom snapped. "Do you know how much you embarrassed us?" "I think I do," I said evenly. Dad raised his hands. "Let's not yell. We just need to talk this out." That phrase, "talk this out," always meant I'd take the blame. When Miles stepped forward, calm and barefoot, Mom turned on him. "Ever since you started dating him, you've changed. You've become cold, distant, calculating." Miles didn't flinch. "Leave," he said firmly. "You don't get to insult her in her own home and still expect her to fix your mistake." For 30 seconds, the room was silent. Then Mom muttered about ungrateful children and slammed the door. The quiet that followed was heavier than shouting, the sound of something breaking for good. For 3 days, the house stayed still. No calls, no messages, just silence that felt like the air before a storm. I tried to work, but every small sound, the ping of an email, the creak of the floorboards, felt like a memory resurfacing. Miles said nothing, just kept making coffee for two, reminding me I wasn't alone. On the fourth morning, my phone buzzed again. 22 missed calls, one after another. Same number, same desperation. I didn't answer until the 23rd ring. Rebecca? Mom's voice cracked through the speaker. They won't let us board. They said the cardholder must be here in person. I set my mug down slowly. That's strange, I said, because you told me it would be better without me. This isn't funny. You're making us look ridiculous. No, Mom, you did that yourselves. I hung up and placed my phone face down. Miles leaned against the counter, a calm half smile on his face. Consequences, he said quietly. I nodded. By noon, the doorbell rang again, loud, angry knocks. I didn't move. I just watched from the top of the stairs as their shadows appeared once more behind the glass, Mom's posture rigid and unyielding. Dad stood there looking like he already regretted coming. Miles asked quietly, You sure you want to open it? I nodded. Yes, I want to see how they'll justify it this time. Mom came in without knocking, hair frizzed, lipstick uneven. Rebecca, do you realize what you've done? They treated us like criminals, everyone saw. I crossed my arms. Then maybe don't commit credit card fraud next time. Her eyes widened. Excuse me? You used my card for a trip you disinvited me from. That's theft, Mom. Dad stepped forward, voice soft. Sweetheart, we just need to talk this out. I sighed. There it is again, the phrase you use when you want me to take the blame. Mom's tone cracked. You embarrassed us. We are your parents. I know, I said quietly, and you've made sure everyone else knows too. Miles came down the stairs, calm as always. His composure only made her angrier. Ever since you met him, you've changed, she shouted. He smiled faintly. She learned how to stop paying for her own humiliation. Silence filled the room. Then Mom turned and stormed out, muttering under her breath. The door slammed. I didn't flinch. I just let the quiet settle, thick and calm. It didn't feel like loss anymore. It felt like something I should have done long ago. 3 days passed without a word. On the fourth night, Dad finally texted, Dinner. Just you. We need to talk. No apology, no explanation, just an order disguised as an invitation. I told Miles I'd go, but asked him to wait across the street. He nodded, not trying to stop me. That was what I appreciated about him. He knew the difference between rescuing and witnessing. Their porch light was already on when I arrived, too bright, too perfect, like a set piece. Inside, the good dishes were out, napkins folded, silverware polished. The wine I'd given them last Christmas sat open, as if generosity could be reused. Ava greeted me first, wearing her practiced, brittle smile. Mia didn't look up, shoulders tense. Mom appeared next, smiling like a hostess on TV. Dad sat at the head of the table, hands folded, playing the role of the reasonable man. We tried small talk, but it fell flat. After a few bites of roast chicken, Dad leaned back, his cue that the real conversation was about to start. It's a shame the cruise didn't work out, he said lightly, as though the weather had canceled it. But the family still needs a break. We found a resort in Arizona. 5 nights, spa, infinity pool. Mom slid a glossy pamphlet toward me like a travel agent. If we all split it, it'll be easier for you. Easier for me. Always me. I kept my expression neutral. Who's paying? Dad chuckled. You handle logistics so well. Ava added, you always do. The room tilted a little. I looked at Maya, whose lips pressed into a tight, brave line. She whispered, barely audible, they won't stop. Mom snapped, enough. I pushed back my chair. I'll think about it. Outside, the air felt cleaner. Miles was in the car, watching the porch. I got in silently. He didn't ask questions. We drove home without speaking, the kind of silence that protects, not punishes. The next day, a gift bag appeared on my doorstep. Gold foil, a white bow tied too tight. I set it on the coffee table and stared at it. Miles raised an eyebrow. Do we open it or call it what it is? Open it, I said. Inside was a crisp envelope, a folded brochure, and a thick printout. My stomach sank when I saw my name at the top. 5 nights, Villa Desert Peak Resort. Guest, Rebecca Hale. Additional guest, blank. At the bottom, card ending in 1174. My card. They'd used the stored information from the cruise. Again. I didn't feel anger so much as clarity. The message was simple. You don't get to choose. We do. Miles came in when he saw my face. What happened? They used my card, I said. It's non-refundable. He looked at me for a long moment, then asked softly, "So what do you want to do?" I turned the papers over. The dates were this weekend, under my name, my responsibility, my choice. "They expect me to cancel," I said, "to fix it, to absorb the loss." "Then don't," he replied. The words landed like a key turning in a lock. We packed light, sunscreen, 2 paperbacks, sunglasses. I forwarded the booking to my email, confirming every detail. My name, my address, my payment. The receipts lined up neatly in a folder on my phone, quiet proof of ownership. The flight was short. Arizona air met us like a warm hand. The resort lobby shimmered with glass and desert stone, soft music playing under the hum of air conditioning. The woman at the front desk smiled. "Welcome, Miss Hale." The sound of my name spoken kindly loosened something in me. She handed me the key cards. Check-in took 10 minutes. 10 minutes to feel like I'd stepped back into my own life. The suite was larger than expected, with a terrace overlooking red rock cliffs. A small plunge pool, a bowl of oranges, linen curtains moving softly in the air. Miles set the bags down and whistled. "This is nicer than I imagined." "It should be," I said. "I paid for it twice." For 2 days, we did nothing. We hiked short trails that smelled of sun-warmed sage, ate breakfast on the terrace, watched lizards sunbathe, napped with the curtains open. I turned my phone to airplane mode and let quiet fill the spaces I'd once filled with worry. On the third morning, I turned it back on. Notifications flooded in, missed calls, messages, voicemails. The first one made me laugh, not from humor, but recognition. "Mom, did you seriously take the trip?" "Dad, the resort says the room is occupied. You need to fix this. You humiliated us again." Ava's text followed, filled with words like selfish and dramatic. Then one from Dad. "Your mother is upset. We didn't think it would go this far." But it had gone exactly as far as their choices had led. Finally, a voicemail from Ava, breathless, shocked. "They won't let them in. They said the reservation's under your name only." I took a slow breath and started recording a new voicemail for Mom. My voice sounded calm and steady, more grown up than usual. "You stole from me. This is what happens when you steal." I ended the message and set the phone down, feeling detached from it for the first time. By afternoon, the story had already spread online. My cousin Sophie posted a group photo from a family barbecue with the caption, "Family first." No drama, just love. Underneath, someone commented, "Where's Rebecca?" A minute later, Mom replied, "She chose not to come. We don't know why. She's been acting strange." My chest tightened, not from surprise, but from the familiar fatigue of her rewriting the story in public. Soon after, Mia texted, "They're lying. I'm sorry." She attached a photo of the old cruise itinerary I'd made, my name listed as the payer. "Then I'm going to tell the truth," she said. "You don't owe me that," I replied. "Take care of yourself." But the family machine was already in motion. Aunt Karen messaged, "Can you share the invoice?" Within the hour, 2 cousins asked if Mom and Dad had used my card again. I didn't argue or explain. I sent proof, screenshots, receipts, statements. With each message, the anger in my chest loosened. Facts were steadier than apologies. They didn't waver. By evening, the family group chat I'd muted months ago lit up with dozens of messages. Defensive, confused, mildly accusatory. I ignored them, poured sparkling water into a glass, and stepped onto the terrace to watch the golden rocks. Miles joined me, shoulder to shoulder. "You know what this feels like?" he said. "Like when a bully realizes the teacher's been standing in the doorway the whole time." I smiled. "The teacher is the terms and conditions." "Exactly." The next morning, a blocked number called twice. On the third attempt, I answered. Dad's voice came, careful and deliberate. "We didn't think it would go this far. Your mother is upset." "You used my money," I said. "That was a misunderstanding," he replied. "You thought my silence was permission." A pause. "We're sorry if things were misinterpreted." There it was, the apology for my reaction, not their actions. I hung up. By noon, an envelope slid under my door. Thick paper, gold trim, my mother's handwriting slightly uneven. "We didn't mean for it to go this far," it read. "We just wanted to feel appreciated. Sorry if we crossed a line." No check, no repayment. Just a plea to restore the old order where I paid and they forgave. I placed the card on the table and went swimming. 2 days later, when Miles and I returned home, the air felt lighter, like it finally belonged to us. No shouting echoes, no hidden guilt. I made coffee, he fed the plant, and played an old record that sounded like summer. By evening, the family's version of events was unraveling. Sophie posted a cryptic quote about people who smile at you while rewriting you behind your back. Mom's best friend stopped liking her posts. Aunt Karen texted, "You deserve better. I told them so." Dad went silent. He always did when the truth burned too close. Then Mia called. She didn't say hello, just breathed for a moment before whispering, "They told me to block you. I won't." "Are you sure?" I asked. "Yes," she said firmly. "I'm spending Christmas with you and Miles, if that's okay." "It's more than okay," I said. "It's home." After we hung up, I opened the folder on my phone one last time. Payments, receipts, proof of all the times I'd bought a version of love that never existed. Above them sat the resort photos. Orange light, open sky, my feet by the pool. I saved those too, not as proof for others, but as evidence for myself. That night, lying in bed with the window cracked open, I realized the confrontation was over. It hadn't ended with shouting or victory speeches, just a boundary that held. The stolen money had been replaced by peace, the silence now fully my own. 3 months passed. No calls, no crises, no new drama, just quiet that didn't hurt anymore. Life found a rhythm I hadn't known I missed. I woke without dread, cooked breakfast without replaying arguments. Every time I opened my bank app, I smiled, not at the balance, but at the calm it represented. Every transaction now was mine. Mia stayed with us for 2 weeks in February, bringing her nervous laugh and too many hoodies. We painted the living room while Miles played records. We didn't talk much about our parents. Some wounds don't need words, just space. One night she asked softly, "Do you think Mom really believed what she did was okay?" I thought for a while. "I think she believed whatever made her comfortable," I said. "Some people confuse comfort with love." Mia nodded. "I used to think family meant forgiving anything. Now I think it means not letting it happen again." That's when I realized she'd crossed the same bridge I had, just younger, braver. When she left for college, she hugged me tight. "Thank you," she whispered, "for showing me what peace looks like." After her flight, I cried, but for once, they were happy tears. By spring, the whispers had faded. My parents went quiet online. No more family photos or forgiveness quotes. The facade had cracked, and they were too busy holding it together. Peace isn't silence because there's nothing left to say. It's silence because you've stopped explaining yourself to those who never listened. When people ask if I miss my parents, I tell them the truth. I miss the idea of them, the version I kept paying for, not the reality that kept taking. The real loss wasn't the cruise or the money. It was the years spent believing love had to be earned through suffering. Now, Miles and I run a small workshop at the library called Boundaries and Balance. It started as a joke, but became a circle of people learning what I did. Peace isn't selfish, it's survival. Sometimes after sessions, I sit by the window and think of that Arizona sky, wide, golden, free. That's what peace looks like. Ordinary, steady, earned. If you've ever held a family together until it broke, tell me in the comments. Maybe your silence has power too.